government increases income tax exemption limit to 7 lakh rupees per year for those who chose new tax regime, which was earlier set at 5 lakh rupees. Indefinite road blockade begins along National Highway 102 Imphal-More route, demanding answers on whereabouts of missing VDF personnel Ningombam Premananda. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents Union Budget for 2023-24 in Parliament, says economic growth in current year is estimated to be at 7%. Senior journalist Pradeep Panjobam urges all concerned not to dehumanize others online, says social media becomes tool for spreading fake news and fallacies. And All Tribal Students Union Manipur asks the proponents to stop communalizing of scheduled tribe status demand. Hello, you're watching IS Primetime English News. Before we begin, IS News would like to remind our viewers to practice physical distancing, hand hygiene, wear masks, protect yourself and get vaccinated to ward off COVID-19. I am JESSIA OINAM giving you the news in detail. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman today announced the increase in the income tax exemption, which is now seen as a major tax relief for the middle-class citizens of the country. The government has increased the income tax exemption limit to 7 lakh rupees a year for those who chose the new tax regime, which was set earlier at 5 lakh rupees. This new tax structure also includes a 5-slab structure with no tax for those with income between 0 to 3 lakh and tax rates of 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% and 30% for higher income brackets. The minister also announced a standard deduction of 52,500 rupees for salaried individuals with an income of 15.5 lakh rupees or more. To further incentivize the new tax regime, the minister also announced that the old regime, which has higher tax rates but several exemptions, will only be available on request now. Lastly, she proposed an increase in the tax exemption limit on leave enchantment on the retirement of non-government salaried employees to 25 lakh rupees. The old tax regime remains unchanged, with those choosing it still able to avail of exemptions on investments, after which their final taxable income is calculated. The highest applicable tax rate in India after surcharges has also been reduced from 42.7% to 39%. Members of Joint Action Committee of Missing of Ningombam Premananda, backed by locals, began an indefinite road blockade agitation at Thoubal Wangmataba Okram area along National Highway 102 Imphal-More route, demanding answers on whereabouts of missing VDF personnel Ningombam Premananda today. The blockade badly affected the transportation between Imphal and the border town of More. Police personnel were also deployed at the area to prevent any untoward incidents. Taking part in the protest, JESSIA convener and Wanglen warned to continue and even intensify their agitation until the demand is fulfilled. The JESSIA is demanding to hand over missing Ningombam Premananda, aged 37 years, personnel of the Village Defence Force VDF of the Manipur Police Department, whose whereabouts are still untraced after he went missing from the 15 Assam Rifles campus located at Uran Top Hill Range in Chandel district, Manipur on January 21st. Premananda accompanied a security team comprising Chandel and Kukching police personnel. Forest Department staff, and Narcotics Bureau led by Chandel SDPO in a poppy destruction drive at the village launch on January 16. Premananda, son of Dina of Thobal Okram, has a wife and 2 kids, a daughter and a son. His VDF number is 706. Using drones and manpower, the search operations were launched by a combined team led by Additional SP Wangkhomba, Additional SP Amarjit, SDPO Chandel, Commando Thobal, and 15 Assam Rifles at M. Lebanon Village, Jaumul Village, Aibul, Jaupi, Molngat Village, and Faishi Village. The JST representatives during a meeting with Chief Minister N. Biren at his official residence recently set midnight of January 31st as the deadline to find out the missing VDF personnel. The Chief Minister had also assured the JST that all efforts would be made to find N. Premananda as early as possible. Police say that the search operations are still on.
Fangdribau, akwai banji makha dum chakha jagani hujir CM da unabagi appointment laure ha bisda akwai ge pamjabsi kaino ganda hujir thiriba additional SP suspension da thambiraga anauba timama inquiry committee natraga investigation committee ma semiraga nongna ma muhapa koi ge site gi pamjare moi hujir jibiriba kolib myamje koi ge JSC gi maikai digi dum penda base phongdoksari.
Meanwhile, Coalition Against Drug and Alcohol (CADA) also criticized the Manipur government for allegedly being sluggish in the effort to find the missing VDF personnel Ningombam Premananda. A press release from CADA Secretary General Gitchandra Mangang urged the government to accelerate the work to trace the missing VDF personnel. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union Budget for 2023-24 in Parliament today. She said that Indian economic is on the right track and is heading towards a bright future despite challenging times. Sitharaman said the economic growth in the current year is estimated to be at 7%. The Finance Minister announced that the capital investment outlay will be increased by 33% to 10 lakh crore rupees, which would be 3.3% of GDP. The spur investment in infrastructure, Sitharaman said the government has decided to continue that 50-year interest-free loan to state governments for 1 more year to incentivize them for complementary policy actions with a significantly enhanced outlay of 1.3 lakh crore rupees, focusing on the agriculture sector. Sitharaman said an agriculture accelerator fund will be set up to encourage agri-startups by young entrepreneurs in rural areas. The fund will aim at bringing innovative and affordable solutions for challenges faced by farmers. The Finance Minister also announced that the agriculture credit target will be increased to 20 lakh crore rupees with focus on animal husbandry, dairy and fisheries. In a further push for the government's objective of housing for all, the Finance Minister said an outlay for Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana will be enhanced by 66% to over 79,000 crore rupees. Announcing relief for poor persons who are in prison and unable to afford the penalty or the bail amount, the Finance Minister announced that required financial support will be provided to them. The Finance Minister also announced that a capital outlay of 2.40 lakh crore rupees has been provided for the railways, highest ever outlay, about 9 times the outlay met in 2013-14. Dr. Thangjam Dabali, Managing Director of Babina Group of Companies, said that although there is no cure for HIV/AIDS, the amount of virus load can be suppressed through antiretroviral therapy (ART). He was speaking during a one-day media workshop on HIV/AIDS ethics and media reporting for women journalists of the state at Manipur Press Club, Mazurkul today. All Manipur Working Journalists Union AMJU organized the workshop with the support of Manipur State AIDS Control Society MAGS. It was held on the theme Stop the Spread. Doubly aided that antiretroviral therapy can slow down the progress of HIV infection and reduce the chances of transmission to others. He said ART is started immediately after diagnosis of HIV infection to decrease its risk of progression and transmission. He also highlighted the common routes of HIV infection, aiding that a person contracts the virus via unprotected sexual contact, sharing needles or syringes, and body fluids. He further said that Manipur has climbed down to the third place, which stood first in HIV prevalence in India. He exuded confidence that the disease will be eradicated from the state in the coming years. Doubly said that HIV patients across the world were stigmatized and discriminated before due to widespread of infection of the virus, but the phenomenon has been significantly reduced. He further highlighted the importance of role of media in raising mass awareness and educating about HIV/AIDS. At the same time, suggested the journalists to be cautious while reporting so as to prevent legal issues.
Particular group of people that are moigi habit pattaba, moigi maramsa pattaba, adu mama yang people loina havilo na pana hu induna nesti. Cancer na have the question competitive. Cancer patient of the brain, accident na have to ormicham na high day. It's not stigmatized. Then AIDS ki test over the, I mean HIV ki test over the, when similar mechanisms in the antibody never later run game.
Speaking at the technical session of the workshop, senior journalist Pradeep Panjobam urged the journalists to always remember the saying, "We are humans," first while reporting any news. He cited the widespread misconceptions regarding COVID-19 pandemic in social media and urged all concerned not to dehumanize others online. He pointed out that the social media has become a tool for spreading fake news and fallacies. He further highlighted on the reporting of HIV-related news. Pradeep further appealed to the journalists to exercise empathy in news reporting. Senior journalist Ahong Sangba Mobi also spoke on the technical session of the workshop. An interactive session was held as part of the program. AMJU President Wangkemcha Samjai, MAGS Assistant Director, Documentation and Publicity Panjobam Langamba, and women journalists from various both print and electronic media houses attended the workshop. Reiterating its unequivocal position to the demand for inclusion of Meitei community in the ST category, the All Tribal Students Union Manipur Assam has asked the proponents of the demand to stop communalizing the issue. The Apex Tribal Student Body stated that it is unfortunate that of late there has been a surge in attempts by proponents of the demand to communalize the issue by driving wedge between the tribal communities, that too under the very nose of the government, driven by sheer desperation of with the eye to be on the media limelight. It said that such puerile attempts will not succeed. Assam continued that it fails to understand why the government of Manipur is silent when so much communal overtones are overtly coming out daily from the proponents of the ST demand, while aiding that instead of trying to rein them in, it seems the government is encouraging them by letting them loose. It said that the state government should maintain the status quo on the matter and side with none. It stated that, however, the open support expressed by the by the Meitei ministers and MLAs is a clear testimony that this government is not neutral but whose support is slanted towards the Meitei community, saying that their opposition to this illogical demand is unwavering and will be opposed with more vigor and tenacity. Some continued that they will go the extra mile to defeat the cause. The student body continued that they have given the reasons for opposing the demand on numerous occasions as it is going to impact the tribal communities of Manipur adversely. The deafening silence of the 20 tribal MLAs on the matter for months when their Meitei counterparts have openly supported it raises many questions. Some said and maintain that tribal MLAs too must break their silence or would be construed as supporting the demand of Meitei. Some appeal to all the tribal communities of Manipur to stand united on the issue. A combined team of Chandel Police and 8 MR along with Japhol Bazaar Authority under the supervision of Additional SP SDPO Chandel with the overall supervision of SP Chandel destroyed poppy plants cultivated in 8 acres of land at Old Lamkang Kunthak village in Chandel district today around 11 a.m. Assam Rifles Technopole Battalion under the aegis of Headquarter IGR South foiled cross-border smuggling of pangolin shells at village Khudengthabi in Technopole yesterday. Based on specific input, a team was launched in village Khudengthabi to prevent smuggling of contraband items. During the operation, 5.190 kgs of pangolin shells were recovered. The seized wildlife products were assessed to be worth 5.19 lakh rupees. The recovered wildlife products were handed over to Forest Department, Moray, for further investigation, Assam Rifle said in a release. Meanwhile, Sangshak Battalion, under the aegis of Inspector General Assam Rifles South, foiled timber smuggling in general area Gamnuam village of Kamjong district today. The Assam Rifles troops intercepted one Saktiman truck loaded with illegal timber in general area Gamnuam village, evaluated to be worth 1.28 crore rupees. The seized timber along with the apprehended smugglers and vehicles were handed over to Forest Department, Kamjong for further legal action, said Assam Rifle in a release. Janata Dal United Manipur has issued directions to all party MLAs to be present at all sittings of the ensuing session of Manipur Assembly from 2nd February to 3rd and oppose the motion of thanks to the Governor's address and government bill, if any. No fresh COVID-19 cases were reported in Manipur in the last 24 hours. As per the latest updates from the Manipur COVID-19 Command Control Room, a total of 107 samples were tested in the same hours, which returned negative. The state's coronavirus caseload stands at 1,39,922, while the death toll stands at 2,149. Meanwhile, India reported 111 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. The new infections took the country's total caseload to over 4.46 crore, while active coronavirus caseload has dropped to 1,783. As per the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the death toll stands at 5,30,740 with no new deaths. Meanwhile, the number of people who have recuperated from the disease has gone up to 4,41,50,372 with 83 recoveries in the last 24 hours. The country's recovery rate stands at 98.81%. Over 220.51 crore vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Top 3 states contributing maximum number of COVID-19 cases to India's tally are Maharashtra, Kerala and Karnataka. Meanwhile, in the northeast India, Assam has the highest number of active cases, followed by Mizoram and Meghalaya. COVID-19 has infected over 67 crore 52 lakh, while more than 67 lakh 62,000 have succumbed to the dreaded coronavirus, and recoveries are above 64 crore 76 lakh. Globally, USA has the highest COVID-19 cases, followed by India and France. Now it's time for a short commercial break. Keep watching IS News.
Go Aviator Academy, a complete platform for aviation aspirants, inspired by experienced professionals. Come and join with us, a course designed for cabin crew and ground staff to help turn your dreams into reality.
Welcome back. You're watching IS Primetime English News. A host of Trinamool Congress stars campaigner, including prominent Trinamool Congress leaders, will be arriving in the poll-bound Tripura for campaigning. All India Trinamool Congress announced the names of star campaigners for the upcoming assembly elections today. All India Trinamool Congress President Mamata Banerjee and All India Trinamool Congress National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee are going to arrive in the state on February 6th and 7th for the upcoming assembly elections. West Bengal Trinamool Congress President Subrata Bakshi, along with senior Trinamool Congress leader and Lok Sabha MP Sudeep Banerjee, will be campaigning in Tripura. A total of 37 stars campaigners are coming to embolden and support the All India Trinamool Congress candidates in the upcoming assembly elections, along with prominent leaders of West Bengal. Polling for the elections to the 60-member Tripura Legislative Assembly will be held in a single phase on February 16. Counting of votes will be done on March 2nd. Pro-democracy activists in Myanmar are holding a silent strike to mark 2 years since a military coup. Protesters have urged the public to remain indoors and for businesses to close for today's anniversary. The call came as the UK, US, Canada and Australia announced fresh sanctions against army-linked firms. The military has said the country is facing unusual circumstances, prompting fresh doubt over its pledge to hold an election this year. Images showed deserted streets in major cities, including the commercial center of Yangon. 2 years after a coup which catastrophically misread the public mood in Myanmar, the statistics tell their own dismal story. More than 2,900 people have been killed during the junta's crackdown on dissent. 1.5 million people have been displaced. 40,000 homes have been burned down. 8 million children are no longer in school, and 15 million people are judged by the UN to be dangerously short of food. Much of the country is caught up in a brutal civil war, yet the military is still refusing to negotiate with its opponents as it promised to do in a meeting with neighboring countries shortly after the coup. Instead, it has plans for an election which would almost certainly exclude Aung San Suu Kyi, who resoundingly won the last election, and much of her party, the National League for Democracy. The UN says this would be sham elections. Meanwhile, the Western nations used today's anniversary to coordinate new rounds of sanctions against the military and its supporters. Meanwhile, the military is expected to issue a statement that could extend a state of emergency. Several suspects have been arrested in connection with Monday's suicide bomb blast in a mosque in Pakistan's northern city of Peshawar that killed more than 100 people. A media report said. Peshawar Police Chief Mohammad Aizaz Khan said more arrests will take place following a major police investigation into the attack that injured another 217 people. Authorities are also investigating how the attacker entered the mosque Khan aided. Families that live in the police compound where the mosque is located are being interrogated as police cannot rule out that the attacker may have been helped by someone internally. Police suspect that 12 kilograms of explosives were used by a suicide bomber. Footage emerged of the destroyed walls of the mosque with glass, windows and paneling pummeled in the powerful explosion. Emergency workers searched through the rubble to locate survivors in the aftermath of the explosion. The blast Monday is indicative of the deteriorating security situation in Peshawar, capital of the restive Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province that borders Afghanistan and the site of frequent attacks by the Pakistani Taliban known as Tehrik-e-Taliban. Now we have the sports news. Newcastle United has booked their place in the first major final in 24 years by overcoming Southampton 2-1 at home in their Carabao Cup semi-final second leg to seal a 3-1 victory on aggregate. Newcastle had won the first leg 1-0 away last week with a late strike from Joe Linton, and local man Sian Longstaff got them off an idle start in the return by opening the scoring in the 5th minute. The win achieved amid a scorching atmosphere and a sea of black and white scavengers was arguably the finest moment since Newcastle were taken over by a consortium backed by Saudi Arabia in October 2021 when the team were in the Premier League relegation zone. They are now third in the standings and pushing for a return to Champions League football. Former wrestler Babita Fogart has joined the Oversight Committee panel formed to probe allegations against the Wrestling Federation of India (WFI). She has been added to the panel of the Oversight Committee formed by the Sports Ministry to undertake the day-to-day administration of the WFI. The Oversight Committee is also conducting an inquiry into the allegations of sexual misconduct, harassment, intimidation, financial irregularities, and administrative lapses of the WFI. Babita Fogart has become the 6th member of the Oversight Committee, which is being headed by Manipur's ace boxer Mary Kom. Before we end, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Government increases income tax exemption limit to 7 lakh rupees per year for those who chose new tax regime, which was earlier set at 5 lakh rupees. Indefinite road blockade along National Highway 102 Imphal More Road demanding answers on whereabouts of missing VDF personnel Ningombam Premananda. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presents Union Budget for 2023-24 in Parliament, says economic growth in current year is estimated to be at 7%. Senior journalist Pradeep Panjawam urges all concerned not to dehumanize others. Online says social media becomes tool for spreading fake news and fallacies. All Tribal Students Union Manipur asks the proponents to stop communalizing of scheduled tribe status demand. That's all we have in this bulletin. Coming up next, we have IS Primetime, Manipuri News at 9 p.m. Till then, good night.